It's a very pertinent question to ask, how do we build back better?
To build back better or whatever.
To build back better than before.
Joe Biden calls it Build Back Better.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To do things differently. To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
It's my plan to build back better.
Start taking all the problems that have been created in education and mental health and start to build back in a positive way.
I have launched a booklet called Build Back Better.
It's about building this country back better.
Growing conspiracy following it. It is called the Great Reset.
An unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live.
The great opportunity for reset.
The theory even calls Mr. Biden's campaign slogan, Build Back Better, a front for the conspiracy.
Build back better.
Building back better our economy.
Build back better.
All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
It's a big effort to, some would say, to build back better. We would say to really have a great reset.
Conspiracy.
Oh, what a coinkydink that they're all saying and doing the same thing. Huh. Nothing to see here. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Ukadowski of WeAreChange.org. More utter, ridiculous nonsense sold to you as a solution by the same people that have created the problem. Lots to talk about today, especially the subjugation of humanity, the ill will of government, and of course, its many bureaucratic failures. So much corruption, so much mishandling, so much wrong in the world, but the U.S. Western mainstream media in large swath is deciding to concentrate on a podcaster who expressed his personal opinions. Yeah, that's what we're focusing on? Are you kidding me? And again, almost everything in this world is absolutely upside down, as perfectly represented by now Hunter Biden teaching young children, young adolescents, what, quote, fake news is at a prestigious university in the United States. Yes, Hunter Biden, that had a big tech and the mainstream media censor a major eye-opening story against him, which the establishment was able to say was fake. Because of that, it was able to be successfully censored from the American public right before the election. And then after the election, we learned that it wasn't fake. It was absolutely true. So I don't think those are the lessons that Mr. Hunter Biden will be teaching, but that's just my own personal hunch and personal opinion. Now, as the mainstream media focuses on absolute nonsense that has no effect on your personal life, in actual important geopolitical news, we are learning that the Saudi-U.S. coalition is still going strong, creating the worst humanitarian crisis in the world right now, with millions of children and adults facing starvation, hunger, disease, all because of a little-known American foreign policy that is still continuing lockstep and barrel with, of course, the Biden administration. As, of course, the United States is still serving Saudi warplanes as they launch their attacks, according to many reports, on civilian targets, absolutely creating a humanitarian havoc on the world. And with the Biden administration, it definitely looks like there will be more potential conflict in the future. There was a decision to leave Afghanistan by the 20th anniversary of 9/11, but it looks like that is up in the air from the latest statements from the Secretary of State, and also the Biden administration sending down more troops to Afghanistan just moments ago. And this pointless military endeavor that has absolutely done nothing but except supplied the world with record amounts of opium, as of course the U.S. military will most likely keep their bases inside of that country indefinitely. In similar geopolitical woe news, Australian government officials are warning about the potential of a conflict with China, as of course China is setting its eyes on Taiwan after of course gobbling up Hong Kong recently, as of course the Australian military has announced that it will be, quote, upgrading its military potential. The Chinese military has been doing similar measures, and of course the big winner here is the military-industrial complex, who of course is set to gain tremendously from any future conflict or proxy conflict, which most likely will happen off of more, of course, human suffering. And as the military-industrial complex takes ungodly amounts of money from the American taxpayer, Biden now is, of course, proposing new taxes, new regulations, more IRS audits, more capital gains to, of course, make sure that the military-industrial complex bellies don't go hungry after feasting off of the buffet that was America and its people that are being absolutely sucked dry. So yeah, before we get into Biden's new tax plan or social safety net, as they call it, it's really just more draconian nonsense that we're going to be detailing to you here, of course. Before we get into that, we wanted to remind you that, hey, we have a t-shirt store because we're fully demonetized, and you can get shirts like the one that I'm wearing right now. The new one that we just launched yesterday that we cannot show you here. It is very spicy, to say the least. You want to see the new t-shirt? Check me out on my Instagram, or just go to thebestpoliticalshirts.com and check out the extensive amount of products we have available to you that surely might get you in trouble, but definitely spark up some very interesting conversations. Thebestpoliticalshirts.com is where you could go. Click on it right now, and I'll bet you'll be surprised with what we have. Also doing another Luke Uncensored video today, specifically with just some of the absolute ridiculousness that we can't even talk about. Burning Man 2021 has been canceled. There's a lot of bigger points I want to talk about, specifically when it comes to Joe Rogan, and of course, Dr. Fauci, who of course is an absolute perfect, almost godlike character that is never wrong and deserves our praises and our bowing down to our Lord and Savior, Mr. Fauci, that, of course, we will praise very effectively on LukeUncensored.com. So, yeah, lots to say about that situation. LukeUncensored.com video will be coming out later on today, especially with information about how these lockdowns will be continuing a lot longer than expected. It was supposed to be 2 weeks. It's been over a year. Politicians are now telling us 4th of July or in June, everything will be open, everything will be great. And in my opinion, it definitely won't, because there's too many people set to benefit from them, according to my own personal opinion. And if it's not lockdowns controlling every aspect of your existence, taking away your livelihood, it's, of course, taxes, which the Biden administration is setting their eyes at raising because, you know, of course, we need that corporate welfare. The military-industrial complex, the pharma-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, all these large institutions with all the lobbyists that they have on K Street, they need their money. Even though the Federal Reserve just prints money blanketly out of thin air, still, Mr. Joe Biden wants your money. And he has announced a new $1.8 trillion bill that will take your money and then spend more of it that doesn't exist on products and services that have no fair market competition and predominantly suck. Usually when the government provides you a service, again, there's no market competition. And predominantly, a lot of people are unsatisfied with the services that the government provides, but the government wants to provide more services in exchange for taking more of your money, and then on top of that, spending more of it that just doesn't exist. And this is definitely not building back better. This is stealing and making sure people are going to be dependent on government. And in my opinion, that's not better. That's an absolute crock. And under Biden's new proposals that is calling to, of course, raise taxes on the 1%, but of course he's not doing it on the 1%. He might be doing it on people who earn over $200,000 per year or $400,000 a year. Still hasn't clarified that. He's talking about increasing capital gains. He wants to get rid of the carried interest tax break. And of course, he wants to increase IRS audits and is proposing changes so that people's earnings and investments and business profits would be reported to the IRS like wages. In exchange, he wants to pay for people's college tuition, institutionalizing the indoctrination centers, implement, quote, free universal preschool for all 3 to 4 aged children, give $2 billion to the unemployment system, and other things that, you know, of course, sound good to the average person on face value, but then they don't realize that a lot of these services are going to be provided by government. And personally, I am not a fan of the DMV. I don't think anyone is, and I don't think we should want those same institutions running the DMV to be running more aspects of our lives. But with more taxes, regulations, the government taking more wealth away from the people, we inherently see the state being empowered while the citizenry having more and more taken away from them. For example, look at the way that this administration has been handling the border crisis, which, of course, as we know, Joe Biden, when he was running to be president of the United States, welcomed and told people to come to the United States. They have come. This has created an absolute horrible situation and condition that the Biden administration's first response was, of course, to hide the realities from, as, of course, they denied access to lawyers, politicians, and the media initially from even seeing what was going on at the border. Kamala Harris was introduced to be the current border czar, and she has yet to show up at the border. One of the plans that she proposed, Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, was to pay migrants to grow trees so they don't come into the United States. That's literally the plan that was proposed by Kamala Harris, that, according to many political scientists, has done absolutely nothing, hasn't even shown up at the border to address some of the very severe problems that this administration played a hand in causing. And now Biden will praise Kamala for such great work, as of course they're going to try to legalize more illegal immigrants, which will only incentivize more of them to come through the border, creating more of a humanitarian crisis, more pain and suffering. But it doesn't matter because Biden and Kamala want more voters at all costs, no matter what the human suffering will bear. Again, when you look at a lot of these proposals, when you look at almost essentially every aspect of government, it takes away and it doesn't create or help. It's purely an institution of power benefiting only itself that will do anything to increase its power, as of course all the solutions that they propose always include more power and control for them. As a perfect example with Biden's new plan to help the black community by banning menthol cigarettes. Yes, this is not Babylon Bee, this is not a satire website. The Biden administration's plan to help black Americans is to, of course, ban menthol cigarettes, because as we all know, prohibition works wonderfully with government, and that's going to solve all the problems and not create another black market where there will be more criminalization of individuals who just want to have menthol cigarettes. Again, absolutely ridiculous proposal by the Biden administration that is acting like an utter big nanny control freak Orwellian state that is hell-bent on total totalitarian control and serfdom of its population. Safe to say, banning menthol cigarettes won't help anyone here. It will empower the police state. It will empower the government and big fat bureaucrats that will have more excuses to fine, punish, in jail, tax, regulate, and control the citizenry, as this man's handlers are hell-bent of controlling every aspect of your existence. That's my own personal take. That's my own personal opinion. If you think I was wrong in any way, shape, or form, please let me know why in the comment section below. I always appreciate your constructive criticism. But most importantly, I appreciate you guys sharing this video with your friends and family members. If you found anything I shared here informative or helpful, share it with your friends, family members, strangers, random people. Doesn't matter. You guys actively getting this video out there to the general public, even out there to strangers, even leaving comments with this video on some random place. Even if you see someone post something absolute cringe and absolutely idiotic, send them this video if it was related to some of the topics we were discussing here. It's more important than ever, and because you guys do that, I am still here. I got a lot more to say. LukeOnSensor.com. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.